Blake Shapen is expected to be the starter in 2025 after he had a season-ending injury just 4 games in last year. That being said, not much is expected to change for Mississippi State as they look to defend their title as the worst team in the Power Four. The schedule is probably going to help them do that as well as they have Arizona State in the non-conference, as well as just a brutal SEC schedule once again. 7 games at home and 5 on the road, but overall, this is a 8 out of 10 on the schedule difficulty meter.
Starting the season off against Southern Mississippi on the road. Now, you would think after Southern Mississippi being the worst team in the Sun Belt Conference, that Mississippi State would have a pretty good chance of getting a win to start the season. But this Southern Mississippi team got basically all of Marshall's starting roster from last year, and Marshall won the Sun Belt Conference, including getting their head coach. So this is going to be what determines Mississippi's fate for the rest of the season. If they lose this game, they're in for one rough season. But if they can get a win over Southern Mississippi, I think they're in decent shape and maybe they can put up a little bit more of a fight than we've seen the past couple seasons. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win more games, but maybe they'll be a little bit more competitive. So a 60% chance for Southern Mississippi, or a 60% chance for Mississippi State to get a win on the road to start the season. Then they face Arizona State, who is coming off of their college football playoff appearance, who were 1 game away from going to the semifinals after losing to Texas. And they are returning Sam Levitt as their starting quarterback. Their offense should still be pretty good, even with the departure of Cam Skattebo, who is off to the NFL. This Arizona State team is going to be one of the best teams in the Big 12 this year after no one expected them to be last year. They're around to stay, so only a 10% chance for the Bulldogs to get a win here. Then they have Alcorn State. Alcorn State will be one of those games where we really think they will get a win. 95% chance here. That 5% is purely just because Mississippi State has been so bad in the past, and maybe they are going to drop this game, but they should get a win here.
After that, you got Northern Illinois as their last non-conference game. And you'd think, again, this should be a pretty easy one, but Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame last season, who ended up going on to the national championship game. Not likely that it's going to happen again, but I mean, we've seen from this Northern Illinois team that they can beat Power Four competition. So, given that Mississippi State is probably the worst team in the Power Four, there's no reason to say that it's not possible, although we are going to give the Bulldogs an 85% chance to win this game. Then it's Tennessee at home, and even with the departure of Nico Iamaleava, the Volunteers still have a pretty talented roster overall, and we do expect them to probably not be a college football playoff team again this season, but they should be considerably better than Mississippi State, even though the Bulldogs have this one at home, probably picking up their first SEC loss of the season here at only a 15% chance to win. Then it's a road trip to Texas A&M, and the Aggies are probably going to be a pretty solid team this season. I think, we could see them ranging anywhere from 7 to 10-ish wins. And the fact that they have home field advantage as well. I mean, Kyle Field probably not going to sell out for this one, given that it's just Mississippi State. But overall, a much better team with home field advantage. Nothing is going Mississippi State's way in this one. Only a 10% chance to win heading into bye week number one.
And Jonah, it's not getting much better. After that bye week, they will be going on the road to face Florida. Florida is a team that we are very high on going into next season. DJ Lagway hopefully stays fully healthy after showing a lot of bright spots last year. I think this Florida team can surprise a lot of people. I know some people are pretty high on it, like we are, but I think some people are also like not buying into the hype, thinking it's almost similar to what Auburn's hype is. But I think this Florida team can back up the hype because they played in so many competitive games last season. So overall, I think that Florida is without a doubt the better team. Playing in the swamp, It's going to make it so much harder for this Mississippi State team. So only a 10% chance for Mississippi State to get an upset win on the road. Then they welcome Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns. And once again, not going to get much better. However, people may feel about Arch Manning, he does have starting experience and he was successful when he started. I think with a full year playing in this Texas offense, I think he's going to shine, really live up to those expectations of being a Heisman candidate. This Texas team across the board, offense, defense, they're just so much better, so much more talented than this Mississippi State team. Even if it's on the road for the Longhorns, Mississippi State's home field advantage is not that much, so only a 5% chance for Mississippi State to get a win here. Then they will face off against Arkansas. Arkansas is an interesting team. They were around 500 last season and looking to make some improvements. It starts with Taylon Green returning for yet another season due to monster 6'6", 230, dual threat ability. He's going to be an absolute weapon for this Arkansas team that is hoping to take some strides forward, and I think they'll be able to this season. Mississippi State's just going to be another step along the way, especially with it being on the road for the Bulldogs once again. Only a 10% chance for Mississippi State here.
After that, back at home to face the Georgia Bulldogs. Carson Beck transferred to Miami, but the starter from the college football playoff, Gunnar Stockton, is returning for 2025, and Georgia might take a slight step back from what we've seen previously, but that would maybe be what, 9 or 10 wins. Still a very, very solid team that will be competing in the SEC for that SEC championship. And yeah, only a 5% chance here for Mississippi State to get this win. Back on the road to face Missouri after that. And Missouri definitely was a bit overrated last season. And I don't think they're going to be quite as good this year. But still, let's be honest. I don't think that Mississippi State has much of a chance at all, especially on the road, against this Missouri team, regardless of how much talent Missouri is losing. Then it's a very, very late second bye week with only one game after it, and that is the Egg Bowl against Ole Miss on a Saturday this year, which is very, very interesting. I'm very pretty used to seeing it on Thanksgiving, so definitely going to be a little bit different in that one. Ole Miss, they're losing Jackson Dart, but they have a very, very talented freshman quarterback in Austin Simmons. By the end of the season, I think he should be pretty comfortable in the Ole Miss offense. And overall, it's a little bit higher percentage because it's a rivalry game, but only about 20% still for Mississippi State.
Looking at the schedule as a whole, not much needs to be said. Mississippi State, not very good. All the SEC teams that they have to play, pretty freaking good. Um, it's just it's not gonna matter what Mississippi State does. I just think they're gonna be outclassed in every single game that they are playing, except for Alcorn State and maybe Northern Illinois. This is going to be yet another disappointing season for Bulldog fans. I think they get 2 wins again, 3 wins max.
Yeah, I'm with you there. This really not looking very good. If they can beat Southern Mississippi, then they should get at least 2 wins. Northern Illinois still would be a question mark, but I mean even 1-11 technically is possible with the only win being Alcorn State. That being said, though, 2-10 was the record last season, and that is what we are going to predict once again with that loss that you probably weren't expecting us to have is either Southern Mississippi or Northern Illinois, one of those two. But the win total projection is 3.4 wins. Don't quite see him getting there. I mean, I guess the point four is just from the tiny little percentages in the SEC all adding up, but most likely going to end up at 2 or 3 wins here in 2025. The over-under from Vegas is at 3.5. Not sure how they have them winning either against Arizona State or an SEC team, because they are favoring the over there. We feel pretty good about that under and taking Mississippi State at either 2-10 or 3-9. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.